Hello, this is Alan.
This is Erin, and welcome back to the Fic List.
We wanted to take a moment to speak to you before we launch into our newest episode and season. As you may know from listening to our previous episodes, we record pretty far in advance, usually several weeks to a couple of months before they're posted. As such, there are times when something we've recorded doesn't sit quite right for the moment when it hits the airwaves. This is one of those times.
We chose Pride Fic as our tag for our first episode back, and we recorded via Skype on April 25th. While we were in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic by then, we did not anticipate everything that has happened since. This episode is silly and a little flippant because at the time, that's how we were coping with the situation at hand. But we recognize that nothing about the last few weeks has been silly or flippant.
We want to state unequivocally and without any hesitation that Black Lives Matter, and that we support the movement for racial equity and justice for Black and Indigenous people of color. This Pride Month, we particularly want to recognize and pay respect to our BIPOC queer and trans elders and siblings, who are the pillars of the queer community and without whom Pride would not exist.
This podcast seeks to celebrate the ways in which fandom can exist as a transformative and uplifting space for those who are typically left out of mainstream media narratives. This means queer and trans folks, people of color, people with disabilities, anyone who doesn't see themselves or their stories on screen, in books, or anywhere else. No matter how silly our tone, we take this responsibility very seriously.
With that in mind, please enjoy this new episode and season of the Fic List, and check the description of this episode for some organizations and funds you can support. Thank you. I know you. I walked with you once upon a dream. Wow, this is funny. Oh no, Erin, I'm so sorry. I'm just realizing now that if I send this to you, you're going to hear all my awful singing. Disregard. Well, I don't know that you can. But hello. Assuming this goes to you, maybe I'll fight you for it so that so you don't get to hear that audio.
What's happening?
I was just talking to myself and realizing that you're going to get my audio with all my awful singing, and I was like, oh wait. Sorry, Erin. And I was like, or maybe I'll try to take this from you so you don't get to hear that. And then that's when you walked in.
No, I want it.
It's so bad. And my voice is bad.
I want it.
It's scratchy.
Your voice is beautiful.
That's very kind, but not today.
Your face is beautiful.
Well, this is an audio
Your soul
medium.
is beautiful.
That is too kind. Stop.
Please just let me compliment you. So welcome back, Alan.
Hi, Erin. It's good to be back.
We're here, kind of.
Sort of.
We're together but apart, as so many are.
Truly, as most of the planet is currently.
Yeah. Well.
But you know what? We decided, COVID-19 couldn't keep us apart. We need to bring the people what they crave, which is more fan fiction goodness. And we are here to deliver.
I mean, honestly, have I just been reading fan fiction this whole time? Yes. Have I occasionally made bread while reading fan fiction? Yes.
To be honest, is that any different from normal life for Erin?
No. I've gone full homestead, though. I've said this to you before, but for the listeners at home, please understand that I have gone, I was a hippie before, and this has only made it worse. I'm I can grow my own spices. I can bake my own bread. I can do a sourdough starter. This is all shit
I was going to
do.
mention your sourdough starter. I was very invested in your Instagram story of your sourdough starter.
Yeah, I love her. Her name is Miss Honey. She's great.
Cutie.
She's very prolific. I eat a lot of sourdough things now, which is really funny because I used to not eat gluten, and now I just eat gluten all the time.
Well, I think that's the majority of us.
I know. So we're not here to talk about sourdough starter or
we could,
bread.
Though. Maybe that's our tag today, Erin.
It's not. Do you know what our tag is today?
Well, I'm going to guess that because this is being released, hopefully, in June, that we are going to just dip our toes into some Pride fiction.
That would be a good guess. And also, we should explain the new format.
Oh, that's a good call.
Things. Yeah, so Alan and I try really hard to do this podcast and then often just don't, because recording the raw audio takes forever, and then editing 4 hours of raw audio, because we're numbskulls who just talk and talk and talk,
it's true,
is really difficult. So what we're gonna do for this season, and we're just going to try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We're going to go down to one tag per episode, but we're going to alternate a general tag and an AU every other episode. So this episode, this first episode back, woohoo, Pride, Electric Spookaloo, the original.
The original.
Is going to be the only tag we talk about. And then next episode, we'll talk about an AU, and then back and forth and back and forth. Hopefully that makes this podcast a little bit easier to listen to and also edit and also post with some sense of regularity.
Yeah, think of it as like a lighter fare almost.
Yeah.
Easier to digest.
Yeah, like smaller little nuggets.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna do bread rolls instead of like 3 fucking loaves of bread at a time.
Again, Erin is thinking purely in bread terms.
Yes. My life is dominated by carbs at this moment in time. So yes, we are going to talk about Pride Fic. I'm extra into Pride Fic this time around because so many prides are going to be canceled. Like the actual gatherings are going to be canceled. So like there was a post on Twitter going around of like some dog that was like bathed in rainbow light, and I went, that's it, Pride starts now, I don't fucking care. Like if it's canceled anyway, we're just going to do it.
I love that.
So let's talk about Pride Fic.
Yeah, so do we want to talk about kind of what Pride, I know we talked about Pride earlier, when I talked about Dan and Phil.
Oh yeah, we did talk about that
episodes ago. But do we kind of want to talk about what kind of we were looking for in a Pride fic? Because I know that like you are very partial to like baby's first Pride.
Oh, I love a baby's first Pride. Oh, I love that. You're right. Way to call me out, but you're right. So
I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. Well, in sort of my process of going through Pride Fic, first of all, I'm bitter as fuck, and here's why.
Oh.
Alan and I, in terms of this upcoming season, we also set a new rule, mostly for me, which is that we're no longer allowed to duplicate fandoms in recording sessions. Alan is laughing, but you can't tell because
I'm trying really hard because we're in our own setup and like I'm literally close to my mic. I don't want to like laugh out loud into your eardrums if you're listening on headphones. But I will say, listeners, if you recall back to season 1, we ran into an issue where we were hyperfixating, one might say.
I choose to believe that I was passionate about a very particular show called The Magicians, and that passion very much translated into only reading Quelliot fanfic. I still only read Quelliot fanfic, guys. Like, this has not changed. It's been months. Nothing has changed. Like, our last recording date was in October. It is now May of 2020. Different world, like totally different.
Is that
world.
really true? We haven't recorded since
true.
October.
We recorded well before Thanksgiving because we wanted to get them out for the holidays.
Oops.
Remember that?
I do remember.
So, anyway, I'm still obsessed with Quelliot, but the rule is that I can only send you one fic per fandom per group of 4 that we do, because we're going to still record 4 to try to get them done. I have the perfect Pride fic. That is a Magician's fic by Portrait of Emmy, who we've talked about.
We love Portrait of Emmy.
Like, shout out. She also follows us on Twitter and on Tumblr, and she's like the best.
Which was shocking.
Yeah, like I literally cried when I read her nice words about our podcast. But there's like an incredible Pride fic that she wrote, and I couldn't send it to you because one of the other tags that we did, I had to do the Magicians for the other one because there just like wasn't another option.
Yeah, it was very niche.
Like, you fucker.
I like that you cursed me, but this was your doing. You did this to you.
I did set this rule, but I choose to blame you.
That's fair. That's how things work usually. That's
a circuitous way of getting to the point of I instead chose a Schitt's Creek Pride fic.
Yes.
Because like, I mean, let's be real. Like, what is better for Pride than Schitt's Creek, which is one of the best, I would argue, queer shows on TV in the modern age. Like, it has some of the best representation that we've seen. I still have not seen the final season, friends, so don't come for me. But I
still have not seen the first season, friends, so don't come for me.
I forget that about you. But like, if we're gonna go for Pride, right, I think you should go for shows where, like, if I couldn't go for The Magicians and like fix all the Quelliot bullshit, then I was gonna go for something that was like already really good source material and very sort of like in keeping with the holiday fics that we may or may not have already posted by now. I don't know.
Fingers crossed
that you get them eventually. But like, I went for very straightforward, like, this is the fic, this is the holiday, like, it's saccharine, it is straight up, there's nothing particularly subversive or like even particularly like innovative about it, but it's very resonant for what the thing is to me. So Pride for me is always going to be baby's first Pride. Like, it's so important.
It's so good. And
Yeah.
I guess since we're talking about here, should I go launch into what you sent me?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, so Erin sent me a fic called Pride Night at the Blue Jays, written by Sam Wham Bam, an archive of our own. It is indeed Schitt's Creek, and it is with Patrick Brewer and David Rose. Shock of all shocks.
Yeah. Who thought anything else was going to happen here?
And the summary is, when Patrick tells David about a less than stellar time he had at Pride a few years prior, David decides to take matters into his own hands and provide Patrick with a better, more comforting experience during Pride Month.
No.
No, I will say, okay, so my knowledge of Schitt's Creek is that I know I will love it whenever I sit down and actually watch it. I think I've mentioned this before. Mm-hmm. And so I got Patrick and David mixed up for like the first 2 paragraphs, and I was like, wait, which one is which again? And then I was like, oh, okay, never mind. There's the personality.
You are useless.
There's also, yeah, that's fair. My apologies. There's also a really great TikTok that I came across. Sorry, that's what I've been doing in quarantine. I've fallen down the TikTok hole.
Oh my God.
But there's this really great TikTok of someone took the audio from David and his mother, like, doing a recipe or something. And she's like, all right, and the next step is you fold the cheese in. And he's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, you fold it in. Well, I know that, but what does that mean? Like, do I just tear it into little chunks? And basically, it gave me life, and I think that might be my first TikTok whenever I finally get around to making one.
Okay. So what did you think of the fic I sent you?
Listen, Erin, I am starved for human contact, so you're going to sit here and you're going to listen to my anecdotes because you can't do anything else. So, Pride Night at the Blue Jays is a Pride fic, and it begins with Patrick and David, you know, kind of stocking up and like making sure that everything is doing inventory for their store. And Patrick asks, hey, are we doing anything for Pride Month? And from what I gather, either David or Patrick have bad experiences with Pride Month. It's later revealed that Patrick had like a not a bad experience, but an experience where he felt he couldn't fit in. Mm-hmm. But Patrick asks, are we doing anything for Pride? And David's like, do you want to? And Patrick's like, yeah, I think it'd be cool if we put up like a display of like LGBTQ plus partners. And David is like, oh, yeah, we can do that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then later on.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, because that's not at all the conversation David was expecting to have.
Right.
And then a little later that evening, David asks, well, do you want to do something for Pride? And that's when Patrick says, well, you know, I went to Pride once when I was with, was he married or was he in just a very serious relationship?
He was engaged.
Engaged, thank you. Mm-hmm. He went to a Pride with his fiance and like a gay friend of hers. And, you know, he was really excited because he was like, he had never gotten the chance to kind of explore what being part of the LGBTQ plus community would have looked like. So he was really excited to kind of go engage it, you know. And the well-intentioned gay friend got T-shirts made for everyone, and his was the gay friend, and everyone else's was an ally shirt. Mm-hmm. And so Patrick felt a little like, oh, well, now I have this brand, and I am. It was almost really, really sad. It was so sad to be so close to like getting a taste of what being in that community feels like, but having like almost like a scarlet letter across your chest saying like, oh, but you're not part of this community. And so he wasn't able to
actually belong here.
Exactly. Which is something that a lot of people struggle with, like when they're trying to come out later in life, and they're like, well, I don't know if people are going to like accept me because I didn't come out earlier and so forth. It's a very real thing. Mm-hmm. So my heart bled for him. And so that's what he told Patrick told David about, you know, I don't know that I want to. And David is like, well, you know, we'll think about something else. And David is so sweet. And like, you know, he realizes that most like events nowadays have a Pride night. Mm-hmm. So he looks for a Blue Jays game in Toronto and he buys tickets to the Pride night and like gets a really nice hotel. And so he surprises Patrick. He's like, hey, we're going to Pride night here. And getting to read about Patrick just like finding his place, because it was like being in like a sport, like sporty, and like just people like same-sex couples or any type of, you know, couples just being able to be themselves and like be affectionate. And it was so nice and lovely. Oh, and David got shirts for them too. What were they?
Oh, yeah.
Hang on, let me look at it. Oh, yeah, so David like gets shirts for them too. He gets a Blue Jays logo shirt, but the logo is printed with like the colors of the pride flag, which is really cute, and it's just really heartwarming. I was a huge fan of the of this because my heart bled for him. I've known people that have, not felt welcome. And I think I spoke to this kind of when we talked about it last time, is that my first Pride I went and I felt out of place, because there's a certain expectation of what Pride is and like what it looks like for, I'll say for gay men, because I am a gay man. And when I went and tried to fit into that mold, I was just deeply unhappy. And I wasn't really happy until I got to go with you and Angel, like years later. And I just got to like chill with friends and watch pretty parade floats pass by.
Yeah. I think one of the things that really resonated with me about this fic and like what resonates with me in general about Pride is, once, I can't speak to your experience, but I can speak to mine, also not feeling particularly welcome in a Pride space. I think I read as straight. That's a thing that happens because I am pretty femme and I'm asexual. So I don't have the sort of like, other than the piercings that I have and just like behaving like a queer woman, I often am mistaken for straight in a Pride space. But I'm also not really accepted as straight to straight people. So it's this sort of dichotomy, and it's this very sort of stressful experience to like navigate that. But I basically decided that Pride could be whatever the fuck I wanted it to be. And once I reached that point, once I said, you know what, I'm gonna like rock my ace flag, I'm gonna do Pride my way, I don't drink, and Pride is very heavily like a party thing.
True.
And that's a hard thing to navigate as somebody who just doesn't drink. It's not even that I'm like sober or can't drink, it's just that I'm not particularly comfortable in those spaces. So like once I decided that for me, Pride didn't have to be this thing where I again pretended to be something that I'm not, it was just gonna be me hanging out with friends celebrating who we are, that was when Pride became so valuable to me, and it became this like great thing. So I love that this fic was all about like, okay, we're gonna do Pride on our terms.
Yeah, that was really, really nice.
And I think that's what everyone should do. Like everyone should do Pride on their terms. Like that's the point of Pride, is like be proud of who you are, and if who you are is not this like particular image of queerness, that's okay,
Wow. You know what, guys? I think that about wraps up our episode. Nothing's going to top that statement. I hope you all are all taking care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.
Happy kidding. Pride, everyone. Just kidding.
Happy Pride.
Happy fucking Pride, everybody.
Yeah, truly.
Pride.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. I think I would give this like a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Solidly, like really, really enjoyed it. I think there would be moments that would be enhanced if I, watched the show, but that's not on the piece itself. That's more on me.
Yeah.
But that being said, it was wonderful. I think you got a really good sense for their relationship and their characterizations. Yeah. Big thumbs up for me. Big old rainbow thumbs up.
Big fucking queer high five. Good. I'm glad you liked it. I really am looking forward to watching the end of Schitt's Creek when it comes out on Netflix and sort of seeing how they wrapped up. I know all the spoiler points of it because it's kind of impossible to exist on the internet without seeing them. It is what it is. I mean, I'm on Tumblr, so like everyone freaked the fuck out on Tumblr because it's like the first time we've had a queer relationship that like
you shush your mouth.
Went well. There, that's it. It just went
How
well.
Dare you? But I feel like that was kind of common knowledge because Dan Levy was pretty adamant from the get-go that he was going to write a show that was with happy queers.
Exactly. I know I am very often a thirsty bitch for Hale Appleman, but Dan Levy, if you want to come on this podcast,
Dan Levy, please come on our podcast. I promise.
So fun.
I promise I'll watch Schitt's Creek if you come.
Alan's like, I'm gonna do it anyway, but you don't need to know that.
Yeah, truly my bargaining chip.
Yeah, really. No, because I would love to talk to Dan Levy as a queer storyteller. Like, I think he's incredible, and like I've said this before, it's not just because he's a gay man that his stories are so good, but it is so informed by his experiences, and it's so informed by his understanding of the nuances of queer experience and the queer, like what queer people are seeking, that it is like revolutionary what he's doing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does next.
Truly, yeah. I was watching, I think, his like Vogue 73 questions video or something, because I'm a slut for those.
Same. Hard same.
And like, yeah, I really enjoyed him talking about his writing process and like that he has projects that are, he's working on.
Yeah, I also loved that he was like so into those waffles.
Yes, he loved those waffles. And you know what?
Good for you.
If I could get a man to love me as much as Dan Levy loves those waffles, all will be right with the world.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, yeah, okay. So 4 out of 5. That's pretty good. Hey.
Yeah, I think that's like a solid number to come back on. And that was a really good fic. I thought that was good job, Erin. Leave it to you.
I'm here to succeed.
And be super humble about it.
Very humble about it. I like winning.
I think we gathered that.
We know. This is not new. So the fic you sent me, Alon.
Yes, Erin.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were looking for in a Pride fic and why you picked it?
Sure. So I don't think it's like, as everyone should know by now, I don't have a very large arsenal of fanfic. I don't have a catalog that I can just brain sweep through and be like, oh, perfect, I have the perfect Pride fic.
You don't have 3,000 bookmarks in your AO3 account?
I am sad to say that I do not. They are growing, though, because of this podcast. So that's exciting.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Mm-hmm. So I had, I searched with like a Pride tag, and I was like, gay Pride or Pride, meh. And mainly, kind of what I was looking for is a story that, to me, felt like organic. Like I have been at this Pride, and like I have seen this Pride activity. Because a lot of times I feel it's like, oh yeah, we were there, and we walked around the booths, and we like did this, and we got free condoms. I'm like, well, yeah, but there's other stuff. So
there's more to Pride than that.
Yeah. So I really dug the, I don't want to say the world building, because it's not like, there was not a lot of a world built, but it's the setting. I really appreciated the setting. It felt very organic to me. It felt like somewhere I had been to. Mm-hmm. And yeah, after reading a few, I was like, this feels to me really like good.
Yeah, I agree. So the fic you sent me is called Pride. It's exactly what it says on the tin. And it is written by Locked Lock with an E. Alan misspelled it in the Google Drive.
Well, I like that we are going. Uh-huh. I hate you. We literally did a second take of this so that you could go get your bread, and then I was like, all right, I'll fix this, and then this isn't going to be an issue, and you still call me out for it.
Fuck your whole life up. That's what I'm here for. It's my favorite part of our friendship. Yeah. Okay. And the summary reads, so here he was, at Pride, despite the fact that he'd rather be at home. It's hot, boiling, and his feet hurt a bit from standing all day. Converse might be nice shoes, but Jesus, they were terrible for his knees. He had lost Natasha a little while ago and had given up on finding her. He just wants to sit down for a moment. As soon as he spots an empty beanbag by one of the workshops, he sinks down in it and opens his Coke bottle. He's exactly one sip down his drink when someone slides down beside him on the ground. Can I draw your cast? A blonde man asks him with a toothy grin. There's a light sunburn on his shoulders, and Bucky can see the faint hint of freckles on it. So, it's an excerpt summary.
Yeah, it's one of those summaries we really love where it's just copy-paste from the fic. What fandom is this, though, Erin?
They would be Captain America. That would be Bucky Barnes and Steve Rogers, who are perfect. I love them.
My question is, I was thinking about this while I was reading, and I couldn't remember off the top of my head. I'm sure you will, because you have like a photographic memory for our podcast. Mm-hmm. Is this our first Bucky and Steve fic on the show?
Yes, it is.
Nice. That's interesting. We've done a lot
Steve
of Stoney.
And Tony. Yeah.
Yeah. We've done a lot of Stoney, but I was reading this. So here's a fun fact. When I read like at home, I almost always go for Bucky and Steve. Having not seen The Winter Soldier, I just, in my heart of hearts, it feels right.
It still hurts me that that's true, because
I'm so sorry.
You have no excuse. None.
It's absolutely true. 100%. I'm just garbage.
Yeah, with a little chicka over the A.
Yeah, a little tilde.
Yeah, this is our first Bucky and Steve fanfic that we've talked about. I also read a lot of Stucky, and it is
that is the
great.
Best name. No, it's not. It's, what is this? Star-Spangled...
The Stark-Spangled Banner.
Stark-Spangled Banner is truly the best name. Stoney is really good as well, but Stucky? Are you kidding me? Stucky?
Stucky! It's so
cute.
Good. It's better than Beeve.
You know what, though? I would read so many fics about Beeve.
I just thought of that, and it's the funniest thing I've ever said. Take every stupid attempt at a joke of my entire life, throw it out the window, because that's the funniest shit I've ever said. I've peaked. That's it.
Can we get shirts that say Team Beeve?
Team Beeve. Oh, my God. Anyway, so this is a Beeve
This is the Beeve fanfic.
Oh, we're starting that. It's going to happen.
It'll catch on.
It will. No, it won't. Oh, my God. It's terrible, but I love it. What I did love about this fic is that it is a complete AU modern setting. No powers, presumably. It's just like them being at Pride. It says porn with a little plot, which is a very accurate tag.
Yeah. As I was looking through this again, I was like, oh, that's where the porn... Ooh, that's quite a bit of porn. It did not register. If
you can't read the smutty smut for Pride, can you ever read the smutty smut? Like,
wow.
It really...
Truer words have never been spoken.
I'm a little repressed at the moment. So It wasn't unwelcome, put it that way.
True.
Yeah. I've been alone at home for a long time.
Retweet.
And I really just wanted to read some like very happy smutty smut.
Smutty smut.
So Bucky is at Pride a little begrudgingly is what's happening. He has just broken up with his boyfriend like a month ago, and he's been sulking like a baby ever since, and he's just like, fine, I'll go to fucking Pride with Natasha because Natasha wants me to go to Pride. And he walks up, he's just like walking around, and this blonde, beautiful human shows up and is like, hey, can I draw on your cast? Because Bucky is in a cast, which is a way of like dealing with his arm from canon.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. And Bucky's like, what? What do you mean draw on my arm? And this blonde Adonis of a human is like, well, you're at the arts and crafts table and I have all these fucking markers, so like, I don't know what you want. Like, did you not realize? And he was like, oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I just sat down at the nearest beanbag I could find.
Yeah. So Steve is like, oh, okay, sorry. And it's, it's Steve. And Bucky's like, no, you can do that. That's cool. Like, draw on it. And Steve was like, are you positive? And he's like, yeah, sure. So he's like drawing on his cast, and Bucky's like, draw whatever you want, which is like a terrible idea to give like a stranger the ability to just like draw whatever he wants. But he's like, fine, I trust you, whatever. And they get to talking, and they're clearly like flirting, like they're vibing, they're having a good time. I've also adopted so many little like Gen X terms into my vocabulary in quarantine because no one's around to stop me. So it's bad. So they're vibing. They're chill.
They're vibing.
It's lit AF.
Oh my god. No. Erin, this is your intervention.
Alan's like, you must stop. So they're having a good time, and they're sitting, and Steve is drawing on Bucky's arm, and they're just having a really good conversation. And eventually they're like, okay, so what do you do? What do I do? And Steve is like, oh, I teach, elementary school kids like art, basically. And I don't know what it is about elementary school teachers in fanfic, but there's always one.
Yeah, there is always one. And it's always like the really wholesome character. You're just like, that makes sense.
Which is funny because I don't usually think of Steve as like wholesome in the traditional sense of the word. Between him and Bucky, it makes sense that they lean towards Steve as the preschool teacher, but like I think of Steve as very much like a little shit, like hidden snark character.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I kind of liked that this had both of those in those because he's kind of snarky. In this particular fic, Bucky writes really bad porn novels.
Yeah, I forgot.
That are available online for your perusal. And like, I know that that's like a real thing that people do, but it's really funny. And Steve is like delighted with this. He's like, I've never met someone who does this. I've never met anybody who like makes money this way. Like, walk me through how you landed there. And Bucky's like, well, I used to write fan fiction. And I just changed the names and I could sell them, and it worked out great for me. So, and I'm like, okay, this is a little like, this is very on the nose and I'm into it. So yeah, he's like, this is really cool. And like, they're just kind of having a good time. And then Steve like wraps up drawing on his arm, and Natasha calls, and Bucky is like, where the fuck are you? Like, we're hanging out, like, what's happening? And Bucky's like, oh, I gotta go, like, whatever. And Steve's like, oh, is that your boyfriend? And Bucky's like, nah, friend. Her and her girlfriend are like telling me to go. So he's like, all right. So Steve is like, cool. And then they part ways, and Bucky invites Steve to go with him to go hang out with Natasha, but Steve runs the arts and craft stand, so, and therefore cannot leave. So they part, and he's just kind of like bummed about it, and they're like, all right. And then later, when Bucky is looking at his cast, Steve has not only drawn a version of like, the David statue, like the full frontal naked with like an eggplant over the penis, but he's also like snuck his phone number into the drawing. So Bucky's like, fuck yeah. So he calls him, he texts him, and he's like, hey, this is Steve, right? And Steve's just like, yeah, I was wondering how long it was going to take you to call me. So they end up hooking up. Like, he basically is like, so this, Bucky's like, is this a booty call? And Steve's like, that's what the eggplant was for. So yeah, like, this is 100% a booty call. And then they have really banging sex, and they have a great old time. And
a gay old time, if you will.
A gay old time. That's the best joke you've ever made. So they have, it's just good. It's like, it's very smutty. It's very fun. Like, who doesn't want sweet, stucky, hookup, smut pride fic? It was great. I would give this a solid 4 out of 5.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
It's written very well. Like, the prose is nice. I think the dialogue is nice. My one sort of complaint of it, and it's not even really a complaint, but we've talked about this before, is it's very general. Like, it's not specific to who they are as people. So like, this could kind of be any queer pairing that you wanted from any source material and plug them in and go. Yeah. Because there's nothing particularly them about the scenario or the personality.
Erin,
really,
the cast plays such a big part.
It does, but like other people break their arms, Alan.
No, Erin, you don't get it. See, because Bucky has a metal arm,
right?
And in this fic, he's got a cast.
Right. So, how many times have you seen The Winter Soldier?
Yes. Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair, and I see that.
Yeah, but like that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I was just
No.
like, oh, like I'm filling in basically. It's the difference between like, oh, this fan fiction is really rooted in the characters, and I have a very clear image of like these characters in this place, versus like I have basically cast these characters in a little like hallmarky fanficky thing in my brain, and these are the faces I'm ascribing to these characters. Like those are two different kind of like sub ways of writing fanfic, and I think this one falls more into the second one, where it's more just like I'm just here to have a good time and like make two really hot people kissy kiss. Like that's kind of the goal here.
It's like it's the fiction equivalent of grabbing two Barbies and just being like kiss 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 kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's valid.
Yeah.
It's sometimes that's all we want. We just want to see our faves kiss 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 kiss.
Yeah, really. That's all I ever want. And, like ever. I mean, I don't think it has to be more than that if you don't want it to be, because like I love this shit. So I had a good time. Well done. I liked this one a lot.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
You know what's really funny? So I've taken to reading all of my fan fiction on my tablet, and there's this app that I downloaded off the web, and I read it, and then I'm done with it, and I delete it. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I really do that is because Archive of Our Own doesn't have dark mode, and it hurts my eyes after a moment, and I'm like, I need dark mode.
Your poor little peepers.
My little eyes. So the only downfall to this app is that if there's picture attachments, I don't see them.
Oh, that's a bummer, because there's some cute little fan art at the end.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't see.
By cute little fan art, I mean the drawing that Steve did. So there's an eggplant.
Yeah, someone did fan art of Steve's drawing on Bucky's cast, which is Michelangelo's David, but Bucky instead, and with the eggplant instead of a penis. Mm-hmm. So,
oh my god, it's great.
I'm really glad I got to see that. It pays off to kind of follow along as we record this.
Yeah, it really does. So that was a good time. You did good on the Pride fic. I would have been really upset with you if you had fucked up the Pride fic.
You know what, Erin? Me too.
There was only one tag that I was like, I am deeply protective over this, and it was definitely Pride.
Well, I'm glad you didn't tell me that in advance.
Yeah. I'm never going to do that, because that's only setting you up for, an anxiety attack.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm not that mean.
That's fair.
All right. Well, that's our one tag for this episode, dude.
This feels so weird, and I
know.
I don't like change, Erin. I don't like change.
Well, you're going to have to deal with it.
We can't just launch into an AU. Tell me what AU you're reading. Are you reading some steampunk AU, or tell me about your vampire AU, or like a Sesame Street AU?
I hate all of those ideas. We are not discussing any. Well, Vampire AU is great because, hello.
It is a good one.
But a Sesame Street AU? Are you okay? Quarantine has gotten to you.
But just imagine Steve Rogers as Elmo.
Oh, no.
No. If I could do an Elmo impression, I would do it here, but I'm not going to attempt it because it would not be good.
We are not going to defile my literal favorite Muppet. It's bad.
Wait a minute. Your literal favorite Muppet? Elmo is not a Muppet.
They're Muppets. They're all Muppets.
No, that's Sesame Street versus Muppets.
No.
Kermit is Muppet.
No. So all of the Sesame Street characters are the same type of puppet called a Muppet.
I get that, and I see where you're coming from, but to me, Elmo is not a Muppet, like TM, like
right,
capitalized
he's not in
Muppet.
The Muppets.
Yeah.
No, lowercase Muppet.
Okay, so Elmo is your favorite lowercase Muppet.
Yes.
I'll let you slide.
I dislike you immensely, but I love Elmo. Okay, fuck it, we're gonna go down this tangent. Have I told you about the obsession I had with Elmo as a child?
No.
I had probably 100 Elmo dolls at one point, because for every birthday and Christmas, anytime I got a present, somebody would give me an Elmo doll, because I loved Elmo so much. To this day, if you put Elmo and Grouchland the movie on TV, I will watch it. It's so good. Mandy Patinkin's in that movie. It's so fun. I fucking love that movie. I love Elmo. And then as a child, I was this was a moment of never trust anyone, because the year that Tickle Me Elmo was big, I was still young enough to really want to Tickle Me Elmo. I was probably 3 or 4. So I kind of remember this and I kind of don't. I spent a whole bunch of time being like, I just want to tickle me Elmo. I just want to tickle me Elmo. I just want it. I just want it. My mom was like, I don't know. It's like really hard to get. And like, and so Christmas came and went and I did not get a tickle me Elmo.
No.
And I remember trying to just like put on a brave little Erin face for a toddler and just be like, it's okay. I got other Elmos. It's going to be fine.
Aww.
And then 3 months later, my mother was cleaning out the closet and she found the fucking tickle me Elmo that she forgot to give me for Christmas.
You're lying. You're lying.
I'm not lying. I'm not lying. She found it like 3 months later and was like, oh, I was supposed to give this to you for Christmas. And I was like, do you have any idea how devastated I was? Do you have any idea? Do you have any idea how sad I was that I'm not going to tickle me Elmo for Christmas? I'm very happy with the tickle me Elmo right now because this is great and it's March. But like, I have been trying not to cry for months. And she was like, I don't know how I forgot about this. I'm sorry. I was like, I cannot trust my mother. I'm 4. I've lost trust in the institution of parenthood.
I am so shook right now. I am so like deeply like angry for past Erin. Oh my god.
I think that was the point in my life where I was like, if you want something done, you have to do it yourself.
At the age of 4, I learned that nothing comes free.
Yeah, it explains so much about who I am as a person.
Yeah, truly.
But yeah, that's my Tickle Me Elmo story.
Oh, do you still love Elmo?
Of course I do. Elmo
like
will
if I
always
got you
be my
Elmo
fave.
things, you would
I don't
like
have
Elmo?
no. We donated a lot of them because eventually it got to be too much, and my mom was like, "Okay, we should pass these along to other people who love Elmo." And like we moved, so I had to get rid of a bunch of stuff, and like it was all good. But I still love Elmo. Like I still will like anytime they do those little like your favorite Sesame Street characters are doing like a Vanity Fair interview or whatever, I will watch it and I will take it super seriously. And I just like I fully believe in the power of Elmo. Like I love if I ever met Elmo, I think I didn't freak out that much when I met Hill Appleman. I don't freak out around celebrities. Like I don't think it's actually like a healthy thing to do. Like I think you should actually try to be relatively chill because they're just people, right? I would lose my goddamn fucking mind if I met Elmo. Do you have any idea how like I would probably cry? Elmo means so much to me.
Listeners, you heard it. This is the call. Let's get hashtag Erin meets Elmo trending.
Yeah, on local Twitter.
I'm trying to see if we can make it alliterative. So Erin, is there an E word for like meets and
encounters?
Erin encounters Elmo. Hashtag Erin encounters Elmo.
Erin
Perfect.
just cries the whole time.
The idea of you bursting into tears for a puppet is both really funny and both super sweet and touching.
Yeah, it's really funny because I come across as like such an old lady.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm just like, oh my god, Elmo is my favorite. I love Elmo so much. Elmo is just like the personification of love, and I just sometimes you just need Elmo to say it's gonna be okay.
Wow, I think that's a good note to end it. You know, on Elmo's wise words.
Yep. So with that, thanks for listening to this first kind of dusty little stop and go episode.
We're definitely shaking off the cobwebs. We're getting back into it. As always, please, we are trying desperately this season to make sure that we introduce new fandoms, and that means we're stretching ourselves out into, things that we haven't watched before or that we haven't watched in years, etc. But we would love to read any of your recommendations. If you have fics that you think, oh, I would love for them to read, we would love nothing more.
Yep.
Please save me from the endless search pages on Archive of Our Own.
Yeah, please, for the love of God, send us your recommendations of fic. Also send us recommendations of tags to do because we were running low to begin with. It has only gotten worse.
Eventually we're gonna have to circle around, and unless you guys want just to hear the same tags over and over, you're gonna have to help.
I mean, we do have to redo some of the tags that we did last season because some of them were not successful.
Yeah, and it was so unfortunate because it was always the ones we were most excited for.
Yeah, but I've already sort of started asking on Twitter for you guys to send us recommendations, and Portrait of Emmy fucking coming through again. Send us some recommendations of stuff to do, which I think are some really good ideas.
Portrait of Emmy, we love you.
Yes, our first and truest fan, Caitlin, who a friend of mine, has sent us her recommendations many times. She has very specific ideas of things that she wants us to do, so we're going to probably end up doing that, which is great.
I'm all for it.
Send us your ideas and your recommendations because we're into this. And what else are we going to do except this in this sort of quarantine state of mind?
Amen. Erin, but where can they find us?
They can find us on Apple Podcasts. Play that one.
Correct.
Spotify,
Yep.
SoundCloud, probably other things on the internet like
Sure,
Google
Google
Play,
us.
but I don't use them.
I think we are on Google Play Store. Let
I'm
me
sure
know.
we are. They sort of automatically cross-post to certain places.
Yeah, sometimes.
You can get in touch with us via Twitter and Tumblr, although I have not logged into the Tumblr in quite a while. So just, if you send us a message there, be prepared for it to go unseen for a while.
For a
Twitter's
moment.
better. Twitter's better. We do technically have a Facebook and an Instagram, but to be honest with you, it's just so that way I have them. Like, I don't post there. Y'all
But
can't
that
claim those URLs, but I have them.
But that being said, if you try to reach out, I'm sure Erin would get a notification.
Probably.
So that's the
That is
easiest way. Listen, send
Yeah.
us a smoke signal. If it gets to us, we're happy.
Yeah, basically just like remind us that we're not screaming into a void here.
Yeah, make sure that this is different from the other 23 hours I spend screaming into the void.
Right. Precisely. Well, this was great.
Do we want to announce, or have we announced Comic-Con yet? Or the Awesome
We
Con?
have on Twitter. So do you want to make the announcement since I've been talking a lot?
I don't think you have, but sure. So we are very excited and super humbled and like appreciative that we have been approved as panelists for AwesomeCon DC, which is Washington DC's metropolitan area, is like Comic-Con, originally scheduled for the weekend of May 1st, May 2nd, and May 3rd. Funnily enough, it got postponed. It will now be in December.
Yep.
We don't know exactly when our panel will be, but we are super excited to, go out there and kind of talk and meet other people who are into fandom and geekery in general.
Yep.
So be sure to follow us on all of the stuff that Erin mentioned so you get more information.
Yeah.
As soon as we get like our slot.
Yeah. Our goal, like, frankly, we didn't think we were going to get chosen for this Comic-Con.
Yeah, accurate. This was definitely a thing of like, Erin said, I think we should apply. We won't get in, but we should apply. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to practice filling out applications for Comic-Con. That's what this is. Even my best friend Mary was like, hey, no harm, no foul. Like, it's good to practice applying for things because then you can build your pitch and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you're right. I should do this. So at like 3 a.m, I filled out this Google form and was like, all right, like I put work into it. I just like didn't think we were going to get picked. So we put this application in and then we got this email a couple weeks later that was like, you're panelists. And we were like, what?
What?
So, I mean, we're super humbled and super excited and extremely thrilled to meet people and have this opportunity to like talk to people about what makes fan fiction so special. And like, our whole thing is taking fan fiction seriously in the sense of being sincere about why we love it and what makes it like something that's important to us in our lives. And we are really excited to meet other people who feel similarly and have that same sort of ethos with it, because I think often fan fiction is left off the table when you're talking about serious fandom things. And it's really central to my experience of fandom and a lot of people's experience of fandom. And it's also like very important in my life. So I'm really, really excited to get a chance to like meet other people. It could be a train wreck. I don't know. We're going to try really hard to not train wreck, but like this is our first panel, so who knows? At the very least, I'm excited to meet people. I think that's where this is going to be like really cool.
Exactly. And if all else fails, we'll give out stickers.
Yeah.
So come for the stickers.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to promise stickers because I don't know for sure if we're going to go with stickers, but
I'll draw on a white sheet of paper and then tape it to you.
okay, that's a sticker. It is technically stuck to you.
It does
therefore.
stick.
Yeah. So we'll hand out something. I don't know what yet.
Come for the swag, whatever the swag may be.
It's probably going to be business cards because I'm boring.
Erin, we hold our business cards to our chest until we need to play it.
I know. So anyway, if you're going to come to AwesomeCon DC, please actually let us know that you're going to be there so that way, and come to our panel, and it's going to be awesome.
Please do, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just us talking to an empty room. Thanks.
Yeah, again.
Anyway. So this has been fun. What a good episode.
Yeah, it's a good way to like dip our toes back in. We love a Pride tag. It is Pride Month. Happy Pride, everyone.
Happy Pride. No parade doesn't mean that we are not celebrating who we are, who we love, and all of that shit. It is still Pride, and Pride cannot be stopped by anything.
Absolutely.
Pride is year-round, goddammit.
Absolutely true.
Happy Pride. Our loves. We love you very much.
We do.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.